Long gone are the days where your friend's basement would transform into a stage, the sound of a clicky strum bar and the smell of Mountain Dew and Cheetos permeating the air. Most of us no longer congregate to argue over who gets the next turn on a tiny plastic guitar-shaped controller. Games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band were all incredibly famous in their heyday, but when and why did we lose our groove? Perhaps the answer can be found in the game's past. I wrote that intro in about 2018 when I penned out the idea for this video. It's 2020 and I also just really miss shows. Okay, roll the title card. The first installment in what would be a colossal franchise hit shelves in 2005. Guitar Hero would be the love child of Red Octane, a producer of specialized game controllers, and Harmonix. While their title wasn't completely unique, as Guitar Freaks, an arcade title, had already taken Japan by storm, Guitar Hero was a smash hit. It was such a success that devs thought they could make lightning strike twice, and it did. Guitar Hero 2 would go on to be the holiday gift of choice for gamers in 2006, selling over 805,000 units, the second highest selling game of the season, only topped by Gears of War. By the end of that fiscal year, it would become the third best-selling game on PlayStation 2. Having found so much success, it's no wonder that the franchise attracted the attention of larger publishers and corporations. Red Octane would go on to work with Activision after the Guitar Hero franchise sold for $100 million. Harmonix, the other half of the once dynamic duo, would be acquired by MTV Networks. This schism would lead to healthy competition when Rock Band released in 2007, with rival publisher EA. With Rock Band's introduction of a microphone and a drum set, players could finally play together, in bands rather than one-on-one with guitars. The combination of new gameplay mechanics and a more pop-centric tracklist would go a long way for Harmonix. In fact, in 2008, Rock Band would go on to be the #1 title of the year across all gaming genres by revenue, selling over $1 billion in North America alone by 2009. Unfazed by the competition, Red Octane and Neversoft unleashed Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock upon the world. Even without new instruments and an even more hard rock-focused tracklist, Guitar Hero 3 crushed the gaming charts. The now incredibly popular rhythm franchise sold more than 1 million units across all consoles in 6 days. By this time, Guitar Hero was more than a household name, it was the game everyone simply had to have. But it was this rampant success that may have laid the groundwork for the franchise's and ultimately the entire genre's downfall.
Come at me, bro. I am Lenny Kravitz, I'm Lenny Kravitz.
By 2009, Activision had multiplied Guitar Hero offerings a few times over, with Guitar Hero World Tour adopting the full band gameplay of its rival and the addition of mobile and handheld iterations, not to mention spin-offs like DJ Hero. And while both Rock Band and Guitar Hero continued to sell well, a noticeable decline over iterations was noticed by many in the industry. Rhythm games had peaked and were on the way down. In 2010, Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock would release to a world seemingly done with tiny plastic instruments. Warriors of Rock sales numbers were abysmal compared to their once record-shattering figures. Under 100,000 copies sold in its first week. Rock Band 3 sales were even worse. Despite rave reviews, Rock Band 3 overall sales were less than impressive. In an interview with Edge, Alex Rogopoulos, former Harmonix CEO, stated that Rock Band 3 hadn't yet sold to the level we hoped it would out of the gate. Harmonix remained optimistic, citing ongoing DLC support and the release of the Fender Squier Pro guitar as a possible boost for overall sales. By the time its successor would hit shelves, 1.2 million units of Rock Band 3 would eventually be sold. A hiatus would follow for both franchises, as shooters would come to dominate the gaming world stage. But years later, both Goliaths would return to slug it out one last time. One last incredibly disappointing time.
What's that horrible sound? They're booing, dude. They hate you.
Rock Band 4 would be the first foray for the franchise into the next gen, yet it lacked anything worthy of the hardware that it would be played on. Rock Band 4 shipped without key features, such as online multiplayer, a practice mode, and custom set lists. While one would think this would be a great opportunity for their competition, Guitar Hero Live stripped away the full band experience, along with bass guitar. Rather than focusing on DLC, this new iteration would use a music video channel approach instead. A questionable tracklist and missing features would bog down the former of the two games, while unfulfilling gameplay modes and microtransactions sunk the latter. It would seem that these rhythm games would go out with a murmur rather than a bang. While these games had their pitfalls, they did immense good for the gaming community as a whole. In the first golden age of online gaming, where more and more people spent time in lobbies rather than with their friends on a couch, these games provided a truly social activity. Sure, they had options to face off online, but there was nothing more fun than watching your friend fail or totally destroy a guitar solo. At parties, they became almost a new form of karaoke, and between friends, it allowed for a chance to realize everyone's inner dream of performing for the masses. Mastering the faux frets of our tiny guitars felt satisfying in an entirely new way. I spent many nights downing energy drinks, eating snacks, and playing my heart out on a 5-button controller. All of this was amidst arguments over what band had sold out or whether inhale or exhale screams were more hardcore. As awkward teenagers wearing more bracelets than we could count, our emo sweep hairstyles hiding our acne, we could only hope to be as talented as our favorite bands and performers. Guitar Hero and Rock Band became a power fantasy in a way that most games simply couldn't. As young gamers who were born well past the age of the arcade, this would be our substitution. Players who failed at songs would be dashed to the shame of the couch, as the last player who called next would step in, ready to show off. These tiny plastic instruments were the nexus around which my friends and I would gather for a few days a week, at least before we had to get home for school the next day. The latest releases of both Rock Band and Guitar Hero were met with incredibly low sales numbers, continuing the downward spiral of both franchises. Guitar Hero was meant to be more than a game, but a platform for microtransactions. And this may have been the biggest problem. Many gamers seemed to clamor for a quality track list on disc, and for gameplay that brought them back rather than alienating them. And a focus on features over DLC. Rock Band 4's lack of features at launch scared away all but the most hardcore fans. Personally, I'd like to see a return to form for both games. It seems almost insane to have to ask for it, but a new iteration in each series with all of the features that fans have come to love, and less of a focus on microtransactions, could bring back passionate music fans. Rock Band was always at its best when it focused on pop rock group play. And at its peak, Guitar Hero was known for being the more hardcore experience, catering to those who like their rock with a side of headbanging. Rhythm games are far from dead, however, as over the years titles like Crypt of the Necrodancer and Thumper have found great success. The world of games has changed drastically over the lifespan of both of these franchises. High-end graphics and VR support transport us to dungeons and battlefields in our favorite games, but I think there are still many of us who just want to be rock stars, strumming on our trusty guitars on a stage set in our very own living room. That was the ending I wrote in 2018 to this video. And yes, this is a remake because, well, production value around here has gone way up since then, and I wanted to put a 2021 spin on it. I miss the feeling of bass from the speakers punching through my chest. Oddly enough, being covered in stranger's sweat, catching some poorly thrown person from a crowd and helping them surf, being hit in the elbow by someone's keys because for some reason we all do this. I desperately miss shows, so much so that I do this in my spare time. And that's Clone Hero, by the way. Let me know if you'd like to see more of that game. I actually made my own version, calling it Warp Tour Hero. But anyway, I'm desperate to get back to shows when it's safe and responsible to. I'm sure many of you are too, and in a way, we're lucky. Those first shows back might feel like our first shows all over again. I just think that if we got a new guitar-based rhythm game in 2020, it would have hit in a similar way to Animal Crossing. It would have given us that old feeling back, or at least just a taste of it. But in the meantime, I suppose high-end graphics and VR will have to be enough to transport us out of this hellscape, while the rest of us wait to be among rock stars, listening to them strum on their trusty guitars, dancing in front of a stage with hundreds of other people. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.